Hey guys, so with summer right around the corner, I thought it would be fun to share some eyeshadow palettes that I'm excited to use this summer. So I went through my collection and picked out 6 kind of older palettes that really scream summer to me, and I'm just excited to get some use out of these. So really the point of this video is not to tell you to go out and buy these palettes unless you want to, but more so to inspire you to go and look through your collection, dust off some of those older palettes, and get inspired to use what you already have. So when I think of summer eyeshadow looks, I think of really 3 main things. The first thing is generally simpler eye looks. Something about heat and humidity just makes me a lot less likely to play around with a whole lot of different products and colors on my face all at once. I tend to gravitate to just like simpler eye looks or one and done eye looks, but I also really like to play around with color in the summer. That's when I really get excited to use some of my brighter colors. And then the third thing I think of is warm tones. I just love the look of warm tones in the summer. Makes me think of the sunset, the beach. Also, if you got a little bit of a tan or a fake tan, I really like the way that warm tones look with that. So let's go ahead and get into the 6 palettes that I'm excited to reach into this summer. I also did one of these in the spring, which I can link for you below. Honestly, I feel like there's a little bit of overlap between my spring and summer preferences, and some of those spring palettes I'm still going to be using a lot this summer just because they do have a lot of those peachy warm tones and colors as well. Oh, before we get into the palettes though, I do want to make a quick announcement. So over on my Instagram, I am doing a little giveaway. I'm being secretive about it because I don't want the spam bots to find me, but I would love for any of you who are interested to enter. It is going on until next Thursday, June 16th at 5 p.m. Eastern, so you have until then to enter, but I just wanted to let you guys know about that. But let's go ahead and kick this video off with a quintessential summer palette. This is the BH Cosmetics Summer in Saint-Tropez palette. I mean, summer is right there in the name, so I had to include it in this video, but I love this palette so much, and this is such a perfect summer palette. This was one of my 2021 favorites of the year, and I still love it. This has such a great mix of bright colors and then some lighter, more muted colors. And I also just think there's something about these colors that just makes me think of the beach. I feel like these colors complement tan or sun-kissed skin really nicely. I did a 1-month 1 palette with this back in like the summer of 2021, so I'll link that for you below if you want to see some looks with this one. Also for any of these palettes, I'm going to link below any videos where I've done a look with them so that you can just see them in action if you're interested, but this one I'm definitely going to have to roll into my makeup basket at some point this summer because it's just perfect. I cannot let summer go by without reaching into this at least a handful of times. Also, just the shimmer formula in here is so nice. I mean, just look at these. There's 4 of those shimmers. I mean, wow. That was just one swipe, too. So, speaking of BH Cosmetics, I do have one other BH palette to talk about in this video, and this is the only repeat palette that I also talked about in my spring palettes video, but the reason for that is I don't think I actually got around to using this at all this spring. So this is the BH Cosmetics Mimosa palette. I'm sad that I didn't get around to using this spring. I just didn't get a chance to roll this into my makeup basket. I feel like spring went by so fast. I also think I was a little bit more into just like lighter, more muted peaches this spring, and this has a lot of really bright, vibrant colors, which in some ways I think is even better for the summer. So I'm really looking forward to using this summer. This will have to be included in like one of my next makeup basket rotations because I've been really itching to play with this palette. To be honest, this is mainly a pink palette. There's really not that much peach going on in here. There's one orange, one like light peachy color, and then there is a yellow, and then the rest is pretty much pink. So I do feel like the name Mimosa is not quite right for this because when I think of Mimosa, I think of orange. So that's the one thing that I feel like is kind of off about this palette. Like if I could change it, I probably would put a few more oranges in here, but I still think it's a really fun color story, and I'm excited to rock some pink this summer. 2022 seems to be the year of pink and rosy tones, so I do think that you can get a lot of really on-trend looks with this palette, even though it is quite an old palette. So if you have this one, or Summer in Saint-Tropez, I know BH Cosmetics is getting harder to find. I've heard that a lot of their palettes have been found in TJ Maxx, Marshalls, so definitely look there if you are on the hunt. But I do think you can still find some of them online as well. But I know a lot of you already have these palettes, and now is a great time to dust them off. So the next palette that I'm excited to reach for this summer, this one is pretty new to me, but it's not that new to the market in general, and I'm guessing a lot of you probably have this. This is such a good palette. This is the Flower Beauty Desert Lights palette. And like I was saying before, one of the things that I really think of when I think of summer makeup is just one and done shadows. Just really easy, eyeshadow looks, and this is the perfect palette for that. So as you can see, this is an all shimmer palette, and it's all these really gorgeous rosy tones. Again, very on trend for this year. I love how I can just randomly pick one of these shades and throw it on my lid and have just a beautiful dimensional one shadow look. With the exception of this deeper shade, I probably wouldn't put that all over my lid, but I really like this as a liner or even to deepen up the outer corner or the crease. It works really well for that, and it's got this really pretty like pink shift to it if you look up close. So don't disregard that deepest shade like I almost did when I got this. Also, one of my good friends recently got married and I had the honor of doing her makeup, and you better believe I used this palette in addition to a couple other palettes for some matte shades, but I used this shade right here for like the center of her lid, and then this light rose gold shade, which I think is probably my favorite. That's the shade Sahara on the inner part of her lid. It was gorgeous. She looked absolutely radiant. So this would make a great summer wedding palette as well. Also, let me know, would you like to see the makeup look that I did on her? I didn't film it when I did it on her, but I'd be happy to recreate it on myself and show you guys the products that I used. If I do say so myself, the look turned out beautiful and it held up really well in the summer heat, so because it was an outdoor wedding. So let me know if you'd be interested in that, because I'd love to film that for you. But this is such a gorgeous palette. I mean, it's really a great palette year round, but I mean, the name Desert Lights makes me think of warm summer weather, and the shades are just perfect for this time of year. Okay, so another palette that I'm really excited to use this summer is the Aether Beauty Desert Sunset palette. Another palette whose name makes me think of summer weather, but also this color story screams summer to me. This isn't that old of a palette. It came out, I think, in January of this year, if I'm not mistaken. It was like the beginning of 2022. Came out in the winter. And when it came out, I thought, wow, I can't wait to use that in the summer. I mean, I had a lot of fun playing with it then, and I actually did, I think, a 5 looks 1 palette with this when it came out, so I'll link that for you below if you want to see some looks with it. But does this color story not just scream summer to you? I love this combination of shades. So to me, this is a really unique color story. It might not look that unique upon first glance, but if you look up close at these shades, it's really a mix of warm browns, warm corals, and olive tones, which I think is a really cool mix that you don't see very often. When I first got this palette, I thought it reminded me a lot of the ABH Sultry palette, and there are some similarities for sure, but honestly, most of the looks that I've done with this are nothing like anything that I would do with Sultry. I think that this palette just leans a lot more warm and saturated than Sultry. So even though it looks kind of similar, in my opinion, it is quite different than Sultry. To me, Sultry is like a holiday palette, and this is like a summer palette. But yeah, I can't wait to do some looks with this hot coral and like these golden tones. Ooh, I'm excited. All right, so palette number 5 is an oldie but a goodie from Colourpop. This is their In A Trance palette. I talked about their Miss Bliss palette in my spring palettes video. That's actually what I'm wearing on my eyes today, and honestly, I could have included Miss Bliss in this video too, but I didn't want to have too many repeats from my spring video. But I mean, let's just go ahead and, hello, gorgeous mix of pastel pinks and coral, so that's a good companion palette for a lot of these too, but it's also great on its own. But In A Trance is another mostly pastel palette, and it's mainly blue and purple and some kind of pinky tones in here too. And I just think summer is such a great time to play around with color, and especially blue. I think of the pool, the beach, and this has a few really great blue colors. I love this frosty bluish purple duochrome. I just think that is so fun. That almost gives your lid like a glossy look. And this also has some periwinkle shades, and don't forget, periwinkle is the Pantone color of the year. So I'm excited to use that this summer for some pops of blue and purple. All right, and then last but not least, the 6th palette that I'm excited to reach for this summer is the Essence Coral Me Maybe palette. This is newer to me, but not new to the market, and I'm sure a lot of you have this in your collection. This is more of a subdued, neutral take on coral, whereas something like Mimosa, for example, has a lot of those really hot pinks and corals. This is more muted, a little bit more of like your everyday colors. I really like how much range this palette has too, with that deep brown included. You can really get a nice, deep, sultry, smoky eye if you want, or you can keep it very light. Also, some really great one and done shades in here. The shades Wish in the Well and Pennies and Dimes both make gorgeous one shadow looks. There's those two. I especially love Pennies and Dimes. That's this one here. In the pan, that one almost looks like kind of a mauvey purpley taupe, but on the eyes, it's like this really pretty kind of, how would you even describe that? It's like I would describe that as like a taupey copper, and it has a little bit more coolness to it than some of the other shades. So if you're not wanting to go super orange with this palette, you definitely don't have to. That shade is really pretty. And then I also love this lightest shade in here, which actually has a little bit of a duochrome shift to it. There's that one right there. It's got a nice like orangey tangerine base and then a really golden yellow shift. And by the way, this palette retails for $4. So I really just cannot believe the quality that you get for the price. You've got 3 really nice staple mattes and then 3 shimmers that are just super smooth, buttery, and honestly pretty unique compared to a lot of the shadows that I already have in my collection. And I think because of how small and compact this will make a great like vacation palette too. So those are the 6 palettes that I'm especially looking forward to reaching for this summer. There's definitely a bit of a theme here, at least with the color of the packaging. There's a lot of pink and coral going on here, but I'm really excited to wear all of these on my eyes this summer. And I'd love to hear in the comments below, what are some palettes that you're excited to reach for this summer, and what kinds of looks do you tend to gravitate towards in the summer? Are you like me and you like to play with color, or do you prefer neutrals in the summer? Maybe you skip eyeshadow altogether. I'd love to hear about that in the comments below, but if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you've not already, and hopefully I will talk to you again very soon in my next video. Bye!